We're officially on part 6 of our 6-part series around mastering AI search for your brand. And again, this is a topic that's going to be strong for quite a while. When I say quite a while, I'm thinking, think how long SEO itself has been a thing for businesses since digital became a thing. Being online became a thing. This is that SEO is not dead. It has evolved into AI search. And there are many terminology you're going to see out there, GEO, AEO, AIO, all of them. They all come back to the fact that they're all AI-based search strategies, okay? And today we're going to talk about building a strong online presence for your AI readiness. And so this is going to have to do more with things that you're going to do in addition to the stuff we've covered in the last 5 parts, which is more off-site stuff, third-party platforms, building relationships with individuals that would interact with your business to help support you and to some degree promote you. Okay, so how are we going to? What are the AI engines using to validate showing your brand on their platform, whether it's Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek? We need to know these. And again, it's very unique and specific to each platform. They have their own set of criteria that they use to determine how they might want to show you. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, again, I hope you do by now, but if you don't, I'm Jimmy Newsom. I'm the founder and CEO of Moving Forward Small Business. Laura put it very kindly that I'm on an audacious mission to save 1 million small businesses from failure by 2050, leveraging innovation, technology, and strategy. It has been challenging, but it's been also extremely rewarding, and it is something that we're passionate about. I actually did a podcast yesterday, and they asked me about it, and they asked me about the number and, if I will achieve it. And I said, at the end of the day, it's our vision, it's our purpose. And I said, the big thing here is when you want to set a purpose, you want to set a vision, it's okay to even set that vision to the point where you may not be the one that completes that vision. That's something that's going to be carried on through generations, so that's how I look at our vision. So that's why it's that. So enough of that. So Moving Forward Small Business is our organization that is bringing this together with SEMrush. And we're a community-based membership. We do tons of training like this, very in-depth, very focused on growth strategy. So we can remove the bottlenecks that stand in your way as you're trying to grow your business, because we all know growing a business is not an easy thing to do. So if you're interested, you can definitely check out joining Moving Forward Small Business. It's very inexpensive, and we even have a lifetime deal, so you can join one-time payment and never pay again. All right? So, as I mentioned, this is in partnership with SEMrush. SEMrush is an amazing tool. I use this tool daily. I call it the Swiss Army knife of digital marketing. It can do pretty much any and everything. So I would say take a look at this tool and see if it might make sense for you to acquire this tool. At least give the AI toolkit, which we've been demoing throughout the entire series, a shot. Okay. And then, of course, shout out to all of the other supporting partners that Moving Forward Small Business has. You can see them on the replay page, which, of course, you should have that link to. If not, you will receive that link later today as well. The 6-part series was part 1, preparing your brand for the age of AI-driven search, which was top-level stuff. Then we went into analyze brand visibility with AI insights. Then from there, we went into optimizing your content for user intent and AI search. Part 4 was identify competitors with AI-powered analysis. Part 5 was ensure high-quality, authoritative content. And then we wrap it all up with today being build a strong online presence for AI search readiness. All right. So this is the replay page. You can see all the blue dots represent everything that's unlocked is fully on demand. All the resources we talked about all have links there as well. And part 6 will be unlocked as well. Now, the only caveat here is after today's session, this entire replay page will be available until the 17th, 7 days from now. And then if you have VIP, you'll have a longer access to watch these replays and implement these strategies. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. When we talk about digital presence beyond your website, we're talking about social media. Social media just became even more important now than it ever has been before, especially for those that are like, well, I'm not really doing too much social media. Social media now is a part of AI search. I believe recently, maybe within maybe a couple weeks ago, we just found out that Instagram posts are now going to be searchable. So they now also will start to show up in search, which means they are a part of search. Okay. Reviews, you need to be encouraging people to start to leave more reviews, whether it's on Google, whether it's on Yelp, on your own website, platforms like Trustpilot, I believe that's the name of it. Reviews are going to start to be important. We talked a little bit about reviews and case studies. Backlinking. So again, backlinking is a traditional SEO thing. You're going to have to still secure backlinks from high authority websites, high authority platforms. You're going to have to still do internal linking on your content. So we have internal and external backlinking. So those also still give you credibility and authority. The new one, and I won't say it's new, it's been around since the age of time, is media presence. It might be new to a lot of people here. You have to start to focus on getting press, getting mentions in news and media. And there's an incredible tool you can use for free that I did mention before that we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive in today, just so I can show you the power of this tool and the fact that you can get as much visibility through through getting covered in the media if the opportunity is right. And then you got platforms like Reddit and Quora, where we're going to have to start to interact with. That's now a strategy that needs to be a part of your process. And then of course Wikipedia. This one here is very unique. Wikipedia is, if you've never thought about getting a Wikipedia page, well, hopefully I'm going to plant that seed in you now that a Wikipedia page, one, is a powerful branding piece that you can have, but there are things that have to happen in order for you to get it. And one big thing is you cannot write it for yourself. And so I'll explain that a little bit more later. I like that look that Nikisha gets. She's like, what? No, this has to be totally third partied. And we'll get deeper into that. All right. So this post came across my desk a week or so ago. So I included it here. Now understand that you have access to my decks. So you don't have to necessarily worry too much about scribbling tons of notes, unless, of course, that's just what you do. I do that, so that's anyway. I was trying to figure out something to say, but I lost myself. This was important because it says where AI gets its facts. Okay, and this was a young lady named Anna Burton who did this, and she sourced SEMrush. And I'm going to read this because this is very important. It says AI's most trusted source of facts isn't what you might expect. It's Reddit. Now, if you don't know Reddit is more of what I call a opinion platform. It's not facts, it's opinions. It's what people think. It's how people feel, which is not necessarily factual. But it does offer something to the world of AI search. It offers sentiment. Okay, so according to a recent study by SEMrush, Reddit accounts for over 40% of the factual data AI models rely on. And I'm going to skip down a little bit and just go, but how can you effectively be present on Reddit? And so this becomes very important. You have to participate in relevant subreddits by authentic engagement with the community. Share valuable, high-quality content that addresses real users' needs. Avoid heavy self-promotion. So this is huge. Focus on building trust and credibility. And then you have to monitor discussions to stay update on trends and feedback. Now, the beautiful thing is there are tools that can help you with this. And again, I'm going to show you a couple of them. So you're looking over here all the way to the left. You got Reddit, you got Wikipedia, number 2. And you got YouTube, Google, Yelp, Facebook, Amazon, TripAdvisor, Mapbox. So you got all these other places. So a lot of them are not the traditional places you would think that this tool would be, that AI search would be pulling from, and yet it is. And the reason it is because AI search is well beyond just your website. It's any and everything that is showing, that can talk about your brand from others' perspective. Okay, so that I wanted to show this post because I need you to get a bigger understanding of why part 6, the part we're in right now, is so important. So this is a Wikipedia page, and this is Entrepreneurs Organization. This is an organization that I compete with. Moving forward, small businesses compete with them. I pulled this because Nikisha gave me that look when I said you can't write it. And here is a note that was attached to their Wikipedia. It says this article may rely excessively on sources too close with the subject, potentially preventing the article from being verifiable and neutral. Please help improve it by replacing them with more appropriate citations or reliable independent sources. Okay, so what it's saying is people can contribute to your Wikipedia page and update it, and if you're writing it, it's too biased to you. Okay, and they want it, and you also have to have some level of notoriety before this can happen, which means you might have to go get press and make things happen for the business before you're big enough, or you're not that you got to be big enough, but you're validated enough to get a Wikipedia page. But it can be one of your long-term goals. So think of it that way. Okay, so one thing first, I got a number of checklists that I've created for you for part 6. And first one is building a strong online presence checklist. So I created a checklist that will help you kind of go through and check off boxes of things that you have, you may not have yet, and things that could be on your hit list of things you want to do. Now, how would you choose between what to do? Well, again, that goes back to what's your overall strategy? What are you trying to achieve in the next 12 months? And then which one of these things can align with that? So you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Okay, so you're doing more, you're getting more value from the efforts that you're putting in. I'm going to pause for a second because I know I've said quite a bit. Let me get any thoughts, feedbacks, or questions from any one of you, Corey, Nikisha, or Laura. Do you have anything you want to ask or add to what I've said so far?
Thank you for creating the checklists. I'll be using them.
Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to say, or I'll keep rocking?
I did not know that they were pulling information. I saw Target, Home Depot. That was surprising. I know they were further down on the list, but it was just surprising that they were pulling data from those websites.
Right, and the thing about that is that's going to change. Those specific brands, because it could be something going on with the news. It could be something going on. That a lot of things could make things trend. It could even be the season, but the key thing is the top of that page where you got platforms like Reddit and Quora, which I think is way further down, but Wikipedia, which are not necessarily anything that would be trending or whatnot. They're just places that it's going, here's where I can pull sentiment or information that I can use to determine. And for a business, if it's where Reddit comes into play, and again, we'll look at this a little bit later, it's really about how you're answering questions that are related to your industry to someone who asked it on Reddit or Quora, and you're the expert. So it's aligning you with that you answered something on there from an expert perspective. Okay, so that's the first checklist that we have here, and I'll just quickly, briefly scan it for you. So we got social media presence, we've got review management, backlink building, online community engagement like Reddit and Quora, media relations, create a media contact list. So it's telling you to do a lot of stuff, but I have templates for some of these. So all you'd have to do is find the right template to do it if I thought it was relevant enough to create a template for it. Business directory management, there's your citations, content diversification, and performance monitoring. So think of this as an overall document for everything we're going to learn today, or at least we're going to cover today. Okay, so let's go back in here. So now we get to, again, the two most important things when it comes to AI search is one, share of voice, and brand sentiment. So we're going to start with share of voice. Share of voice is about how much time do you get, how many times do you show up on these AI search engines when someone types in a specific keywords or phrases that are relevant to you and that are relevant to your competitors. So it could be brand mentions, how many times your brand is mentioned. It's competitive analysis, your visibility related to competitors. It could be conversational context. AI evaluates the topics and themes surrounding your brand mentions. It's smart enough to realize what's relevant to you and your brand. And then trend tracking, monitoring changes in your shared voice over your voice to identify opportunities and gaps. So this is where if you're using a tool like SEMrush, the SEMrush AI Toolkit, you can see what your share of voice is on each platform: Google, AI Mode, Search GPT, Chat GPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. So this gives you a kind of an idea of, if I click on each one of these, it's going to change because your share of voice is going to be different per AI search platform. And then here's how you can measure it week over week, because there will be levels of fluctuation in regards to the number of shares of voice and then the amount of times that your brand is mentioned. Okay, so this particular screenshot is of A&M Equipment Sales, which is one of our clients. We, as of the capturing of this screenshot, we had 6% of the share of voice around our brand, and the only person beating us out is a company called VinNet. Okay, but you can see, other is everyone else that didn't get enough of a percentage to show up here. So this is everybody else. So we're doing pretty well. And then the amount of mentions, I can see that we were mentioned 54 times, which is 39%. Vending was mentioned 40 times. So we were actually mentioned the most. So we're actually really getting our mentions up across not only our website, but other platforms that we're going to be covering. Okay. And then we talked about brand sentiment. And brand sentiment will help you if you're using a tool. They're detecting the level of sentiment. AI engines analyze tone and context of mentions across various platforms. Reputation signals. Positive sentiments boost visibility in AI-powered recommendation systems. So you want good recommendations. You want people talking good about your business and your brand. Okay. Engagement quality. AI evaluates meaningful interactions over shallow engagement metrics. And that's where you're communicating on platforms like Quora and Reddit and having real conversations. No more just a thumbs up or, hey, that's fire. Have more of create more content around why you're communicating with that whatever that piece of content is. Hey, great point on 1, 2, and 3. I really enjoyed point 2 the most. You see what I'm saying? So no more fire emojis. Okay. Sentiment tracking. Monitor brand perception trends to adapt strategies quickly. And so I look at this whole thing as a two-sided coin. Okay. One side is you can use traditional platforms like Gemini and AI search and start to search out your brand or search out a specific topic, and it's going to give you stuff. But on the other side of that is how they came up with that content, one. And two, what can you do about it? What can you do now that you know this information? Okay. So now if we now look more at sentiment inside the SEMrush AI Toolkit, what we're looking at here is brand and marketing AI critical sentiment shifts. So what this is saying is pulling in my same client, A&M Equipment Sales, and it's saying, here is the sentiment for you. Here's how people perceive you versus your competitors on Google AI mode, Search GPT, Chat GPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. And you can see we're all over the place. Over here to the right is that next step where it's going, based on this, here are the things you're going to need to do to build more sentiment for your brand. So it's saying, win with warranty tiers. Upgrade your 90-day parts to 6 to 12 months to match your rival's 1-year offer. So this is one of the first things that came up when we were analyzing our client, to help them show up better. They've been pushing a 90-day warranty on all machines and parts for years. And now it's going, you're losing business because all your rivals are doing 1-year warranties. So I'm going to ask you, which would you prefer, a 1-year or a 3-month off warranty on things that you're paying for? Well, it's pretty obvious. Go ahead, Corey.
Oh yeah. I'm taking the year, definitely.
Right. So we're losing. So there's a huge huge reason why we might get the click, we might even get the call, but we don't get the sale because they're included 1 year, and you're only offering 3 months, and I don't know when this thing is going to break, and I'd rather have it for a year. So that was easy. It says serialized Q&A confidence, add QR linked checklist, test logs, photos, reduce lemon complaint by 30%. So we all know what lemons are, and they ain't real lemons. Lemons in cars are bad cars. Okay, so it's giving you insight, not because it's got nothing better to do, because it is analyzing the competitors at the same time and finding out where you're strong and where you're weak. So even though we're doing pretty well, and I'll show this in a second. So if we go further down, there's key sentiment drivers. So for this brand, green means they're doing really well. Yellow means these are areas of improvement. So it's saying expertly refurbished machines with 90-day part warranty and lifetime tech support. That's one of our brand strengths. Wide selection of new, used, and refurbished snack drinks, combos, and specialty machines. But it's saying here's some areas that you can improve on. And it's picking up based on where others are doing better and getting better marks because of that. It's saying shorter refurbished warranties, 90-day parts versus competitors, 1 year. There's some mixed third-party reviews, reports occasional lemons and shipping delays. So we need to look into that, for this brand. I need to have a conversation with them and go, hey, what's going on with that? Especially if you're a third-party external marketing department working with them to help them build. Parts only warranties, labor on-site service not covered. So we might want to address that issue. So again, these are things that might have flown under the radar, but AI search is saying these things are important for us to show you more and give you more visibility for your brand. Okay. So I've created an additional platform for AI search discovery. So you can start to see where else do I need to focus on. You could check off places you might already be and places that you're not. So let's come back over here. Let's go into the AI search tool. And we're in the visibility section here. So as I said, if we're looking at Google AI mode, we're doing pretty well. We're in second position behind VinNet. If I unclick that and just click on search GPT, we drop down a bit. VinNet is doing really well. But if we come over to Chat GPT, Vending actually is doing second, and we're in fourth position. If I come to Perplexity, we're in second position. VinNet is number one, and if I come to Gemini, we're not doing well at all. And let me come over here to perception. So perception is that sentiment. So how do people feel about us? And look at that. Sentiment is through the roof. We're number one on Google AI mode. Okay? Search GPT. CandyMachines.com is number one we're in position 2. ChatGPT, we're crushing it there. So our sentiment is really well. We've done a really great job, but that doesn't mean we can't improve. And that's where you're seeing all of these recommendations here to the left that say you may be number 1, but you can actually gain more sentiment share. So remember I said the 2 things is share of voice and sentiment. So we can focus on either or both. And then if we scroll down, this is where you're seeing the key drivers to why you're doing so well, or maybe why you're not doing as well as you should be. And again, so if I switch it from Google AI mode to, let's just say, Perplexity, this changes because, again, the platforms are relevant to, the feedback and the recommendations are relevant to the platform. And then we come down here and even the brand strengths and areas of improvement change. So this is why a tool like this can be extremely powerful, because you can get into the weeds of a specific platform and just focus on dominating Perplexity, or dominating just Google AI mode, or dominating just Gemini. And this is what a tool like this can help you do. And then, of course, at the bottom are those strategic opportunities where it gives you very specific things that you can do either in a short time frame, a medium time frame, or urgent, that can help you execute on these recommendations here to help you improve your competitive perception by platform. I'm going to pause for a second because I know I said a lot here. And if this is your first time seeing this, I know it can be a bit confusing. But just like anything, just like riding a bicycle, when you first got on that bike, you were like, I'm never going to learn this. And then guess what happened? You learned how to ride a bike. This is the same way. You have to use this enough time, and you have to invest the time to understand this stuff, to go, this makes sense. And I actually now have a better understanding of how I can use this data to build out my brand visibility and the sentiment around my brand. So I'm going to pause. Anybody have anything they want to add to this? Comments, please do so.
Okay, so excuse me, real quick, Jimmy. So you spoke about something about share a voice in the SEMrush tool, right? And you said it's how you show up. Is that just by other organization or other entities speaking about you in context and driving traffic towards either your blog or your website, and you showing up there and then giving that sentiment?
Good question. No, not in that way. When we say share a voice, that's when someone types into Google search questions that are directly related to you or related to the products and services. Do you show up? Okay. So that's a content thing. That's how much content, how good of a job have you done in building your brand, your authority around that topic or your brand itself. And if you're showing up a lot, then your brand, your share of voice is a lot higher. And if you're not, then your share of voice is low. So typically for most small businesses, the share of voice is always a lot lower than the sentiment, because people are always commenting on you at some point about how you feel. So they're two separate things. Sentiment is someone talking about, hey, I had a great experience with Alexander Sky Group. They were fantastic. Okay, that's a sentiment. A bad sentiment, I'm not going to put one out there, but if something happened and someone gave you a bad review or said something bad about you, that would be a negative sentiment. Okay. When we use, well, I'm going to show you a tool here a little bit later. So they're treated separately. One is just about your authority. The other one is about how people feel about you. Okay. Okay. I know there's probably more I should unpack there, but hopefully I'll mention that in the rest of this talk. All right. Anybody else want to say anything or ask a question? Nope. You're good. Okay. Then I will keep rocking. Then I'm going to come back in here. And so, like I said, we have this additional platforms for AI search discovery. Let's take a quick look at that real quick. And again, you'll have access to all of these resources on the resource page. It should be up by tomorrow. And So you're going to have the ability to start to show up around news and media, social media. So if you're already doing social media, you're LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, video sharing platforms like YouTube or Vimeo, image hosting platforms like Flickr, Instagram, Pinterest. These are all places that continue to be off of your site. Okay. Community discussions, we talked about that, like Reddit and Quora. Academic research platforms, if you happen to be in that realm, where you might be quoted in academic reports, online journals, depending on your industry, this counts. E-commerce platforms and business listings. You saw Yelp, you saw Amazon, you saw MapQuest and all that stuff when I showed that list of things. That's because it's pulling it, because it's relevant to why they're pulling it. Government and nonprofit organizations. If you happen to do stuff, I do things a lot with SCORE, with the SBA. So I have presence on their platforms, So when I'm mentioned on these high authority platforms, I get credit for that. Okay. Knowledge bases, encyclopedia, podcast platforms. I just did a podcast interview yesterday. So when that comes out, there's another mention of myself and my brand. And I make sure that both are mentioned when they're posting it. And also I make sure that they spell my name right, because that now is very important. I still have, I had a really big thing I did and they spelled my name incorrectly. So it wasn't showing as being credited to me. And when I stumbled across it, and I was trying to search for it for months and I couldn't find it because of course I wanted to link to it on our website. I wanted to include it in our leadership timeline. And somehow I ended up finding it because of something else. And then I noticed that my last name was spelled incorrectly. Therefore, it was giving someone else the credit for the work I did, for my participation. So I politely sent them an email and said, can you please correct the last name? Because now it's relevant when I'm tracking my name and I'm tracking the brand of the business. Very important. Okay, let's keep rocking here. So maximizing AI search visibility, brand awareness, consistent messaging builds recognition. So we're talking about consistent messaging by making sure that your blog, your bios are all correct. They're all in alignment. Your message that you're pushing out is relevant on all platforms. And then again, like I said, I would put under brand awareness, making sure they spell your name right, they spell your company right. People have a tendency sometimes to say my company name as small business moving forward, when it's moving forward small business. They don't mean anything about it, but they're not 100% familiar with the brand yet. So I have to correct them and go, it's moving forward small business. Data aggregation. AI models collect information from diverse sources. So again, you're seeing this. So you have to start showing up in these diverse places. So the AI engines can paint a better picture of you and your organization. So which leads us to the third one, multi-channel presence. Maximize visibility across as many platforms as you can. And I say that instead of saying all platforms. I want to update that and say as many, because we are limited by the amount of resources that we have available to us. So this is where, again, if you can use a tool like the SEMrush AI Toolkit and see where you're winning and where you're not as strong, you can either double down on where you're winning and gain more visibility, especially if that's converting. And then come back and start focusing on things that are less, that you're not doing as well in. It's the same thing as, I forget who said that. They were like, most people will pour a lot of time trying to turn a weakness into a strength, where what they could do instead is focus more on their strengths and make them even stronger. Okay? So these are different pathways you can take as you're trying to do this. And again, I'm showing you a lot of stuff here. So I really want you to not go, I have to do all of this. You do not have to do all of this. You have to start to pick what's most important. And you need to do that methodically. You need to do that strategically and go, what are going to be the criteria for me choosing where I put the most of my time for the for the most maximum impact based on my efforts. Okay, so we have this brand mentioning monitoring checklist. So if you do start to get visibility and start to get mentioned, you want to make sure that you're tracking that. Okay, so I created this document called the brand mentioning checklist. And what you can do is you start with AI prompts and you ask the question, what info can you find on Jimmy Newsom, moving forward small business, fit small business, a competitor? Ask these questions and see what the tools are giving you so you can see how well what is the information that they're pulling from me correct? And I say this because I have another client, and for some reason, the phone number they're pulling is an outdated number. And if you didn't do that, you would not know that let's just say somebody actually wanted to call you. And now they can't reach you. They have a phone number, but it ain't the one that's showing up in ChatGPT. So we got to get to the bottom of why is ChatGPT pulling this phone number that is no longer in service. There's a piece of content out there somewhere that for some reason that ChatGPT is going, this is the number. And we're like, no. And I'll be totally transparent. We still haven't figured out where it is. And it's driving us nuts. But we will figure it out. But understand, so here's another one. Can you find any press mentions of your name, company name, competitor? Especially, this could be used this could be very competitive. This could be a strong strategy for you to do competitor analysis on these AI search platforms. Okay. Can you find any speaking events? Okay. So, and then if you do, you can check them off here on this thing. So press, media cover, you find information, check it off. Blogs, check it off. Podcasts, check it off. Forums you've been a part of, check it off. Academic research. So again, I've created these things. So these little blocks here, if you have Notion is free, and you import this into Notion, or you can fill these blocks out so they're fillable, or you can just copy it into a Word document. Okay, so that's this doc. So now let's get into a little experiment. So of course I put in for my company, what information can you find on moving forward small business for Gemini? And then I asked the question again for Perplexity, because again, I'm going to get two different things. The objective here is I hope that in both cases, the content is extremely aligned, and this is where you can immediately see how well am I doing with messaging? How well am I doing with branding? If I'm getting tons of crap showing up, then I'm not doing a good job. I'm going to have to go back and restructure all of my online presence, my blog articles, maybe my bios. If you write for other places, when's the last time you went and updated your bio if you write for a third-party platform and you started writing for them 7 years ago? And your bio has obviously changed in the last 7 years. Your experience has changed. So it could be pulling information from something you're going, oh crap, I totally forgot about that. So I literally had to do that because I've written for a lot of platforms, and I'm like, they're still pulling the fact that I am the marketing director at the New York Marketing Association. I am not at the New York Marketing Association. I haven't been for years, but I still have bios that say that I am. So it's saying that. So if we come over here to to Gemini, it's pulling some of my most recent stuff. It's pulling some incredible stuff that I forgot. The 3-phase process. So again, this is for moving forward small business, key focus. And then it says, it gave me a note. It is important to distinguish your organization from others similar named initiatives, such as Moving Flint Forward Small Business Grant Program. I didn't even know I'm like, what? So it's finding other things that could be confusing. And so this is another thing that you might be aware of. You might be going, where am I getting all this hate from? And your name is very similar to another brand that is getting a lot of hate. So you want to know these things. So this is kind of like that grassroots type of strategy that you might use. That's it's free and you can just do it and just throw things out there. So, so that's Gemini. And then when I ask the same question on Perplexity, you'll see, okay, it's got the mission, the vision, the service and programs. And I recently updated our services and programs to be more aligned with how AI search might pick me. So it's doing a better job. And then it lists where it's pulling that information from, what source. So you could go in and update that source, notable features and partnerships, member benefits, recent updates. So it even pulled the update in August. MSL, moving forward, small business announced a major partnership with Google, enhancing their education. So it picked that up. And then, of course, it's asking more questions. So this is one way that you can start to understand how you're doing. But then, again, if you're using a platform like this, where it's going to start to give you how you're coming up against your competitors. So it's giving you the sentiment things that you can do, close outcome gap, lift 71% sentiment towards 90% by publishing NPS, completion rate, quantify wins, so how people are doing in the community. So I need to tap in more to my community and see how they're doing, see if they're making progress, and then publish that. So it's giving me these very specific things to do. And when they're published, they're now public. And when they're public, you now are building a better case about you and your brand and the things that you do and your authority around that. Okay. So, and the final thing is, if you're using a tool like this, then it starts to give you things like, again, strategic opportunities. What can you do to do this? So one thing is saying information overload is the dominant negative driver. Moving forward, small business can own the anti-overwhelm position. Did that make sense to anybody here? We can own the anti-overwhelm position because it's saying that there's so much content produced by Moving Forward Small Business, by SCORE, by Entrepreneurs Organization, by all these organizations, that it can be very overwhelming for a small business. I've heard this many times. So now it's saying introduce I'm having some issues here. It's saying introduce 3 prescriptive pathways: launch, grow, scale, each with a 4-week plan, time estimates, and expected outcomes, and map every asset to one pathway. That's genius. I'm like, okay. So, and it says add a 1-screen intake quiz and a single pathway hub per user, so AI and users see a clear, simplified journey. So so again, you're not getting that from just studying this. You need a tool, and that's why I say, and again, I keep harping on this, but I understand that that's the other side of the coin. What impact can I create that's going to do some serious, that's going to have a serious impact on the growth of my organization and separate me from my competitors? I'm going to pause for a second. Does anybody have anything they want to add or say about this, what I just showed?
I was sold on SEMrush before you and I even met, but it is a wonderful tool. What I want to point out, though, is that on the overwhelm, the way that you have organized all of the monthly frameworks that we do also takes the overwhelm out of play, because you can look at that list, say, I know I need to work on this thing, or I need to learn about this thing, and it's all right there.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's one thing that I need to do. And so I do have some of those things in place based on what Laura just said, but a lot of it is hidden behind the community. So it's not public. So the platforms don't know that I actually have some of those in place. So I have to, and I've been working on that. I've started to try to produce stuff that is outside the community that kind of represents what's inside the community. And it's a lot of work. But having this gives us the ability to go, I probably have some of that component already built. How can I take it and make it very specific to what it just told me I can do? So go ahead, Nikisha. Were you going to say something?
You don't want to know what I was going to say.
I do want to know what
so.
you're going to say. I do.
I was going to say, I need to just find out if Target is hiring.
You better not quit on me. You better not quit on Corey. You better not quit on Laura. We are not going to let you quit. No, Target's not hiring. Let me just make that very clear right now.
See, I said don't ask, Jimmy. Okay, we're back.
All right. Any thoughts, Corey, before I go on?
Yeah, no, I just like this strategic opportunity site as how it looks as if they scour your industry and your page, and they kind of really like utilize the AI as far as what's really relevant and give you a breakdown or a direction of how you can solve it. So I just like this whole piece of it because, again, if you're already doing some of the things right, but it notices how you can tweak things and make them a little better, I think this is just a bonus for everything that you want to do for brand awareness and bringing your content to the masses. So I just like this part right here.
Absolutely. And that's the key. There are multiple moving parts under this recommendation. It is taking into account your industry. It's taking into account you. It's taking into account these competitors up here that you have deemed these are my competitors. So it is it is taking all of that into consideration to position you. The only thing left to do is for you to act. And the only thing that can stand in your way is the amount of resources that you might have available to you. And this is where, where we again continue to reduce the overload. Instead of trying to implement all 5 of these potential suggestions, just make this one, just focus on this one thing as far as your AI strategy for the foreseeable future, and go, let me just do this one thing. And if this, because it's saying it's a short-term thing, I would do this over the medium time frame, because again, it's assuming that if you're already in the business, it's not going to just tell you to do something that you have no business doing.
Exactly.
But it is going to find something that goes, this would be relevant. Can you do this? Does this make sense? And then you have to ask yourself, well, does it make sense? And if it does, yes. And I know for a fact that overwhelm is a huge part of the e-learning industry for small businesses. There's absolutely more learning opportunities than there is time in a day to learn it. So how do we help them? So again, this could be relevant. So just to kind of switch that up a little bit, because you're looking at my industry, let's look at perception. Let's look at, this is the vending industry. So it says leverage the strongest drivers in inventory support financing as a unified value promise. Positive drivers show 5 out of 5 mention frequency of inventory breadth, after purchase support, and flexible financing. This triad is a differentiated story versus price-only rivals. It says, for recommendations, it says reframe messaging across top pages to a 3-pillar promise. So it's telling them, make this 3-pillar promise. Right machine, right now, life support, finance your growth, and back it with a proof point like stock counts, technical credentials, and prequel in minutes. Reinforce with customer logos and brief success stats to anchor sentiment. It literally gave them a tagline. It created it for them. That's pretty cool. Now let's do one more. Let's look at a la carte catering, which happens to be Laura's company. Okay, let's come back over here. Let's go back down. We're still in perception. Let's come down here and let's look at the first one. It says, amplify your strongest perception drivers in content and PR to reinforce premium positioning. So it's telling her, you've got some really strong drivers that are supporting you. Convert that into PR content to reinforce your premium position. It says perception is high. So her perception for a la carte catering, event and catering is high. So it's saying perceptions is highly positive, 83%, around full service delivery, customization, hospitality, creative design, large scale capabilities, and sustainability. These are decisive drivers for high intent buyers. First of all, congratulations, Laura. Okay. Now it says feature these pillars on the homepage, service pages, and proposals with proof, photo evidence, client quotes, metrics, guest counts, on-time rates, and sustainability commitments. Use short case videos to humanize service excellence and creative execution. So again, and it's based on the fact that here are her strong key factors that are giving her that 83%, and then here are areas that she can improve. And this is probably, some of this is probably interwoven into this opportunity here. And then she's got an 83% favorability rate, 17% general. And again, it's given her some very basic things she can do here. So you can do these as one-offs, or you can come down here and it's more of a complex strategy. Okay? So this is what we want. We want the execution side of, all right, I've got the data. What am I supposed to do with it? I'm going to pause. Anybody got anything to say? Are we good? Okay. Then let's keep rocking, because we still got a little bit more to go. And it is, oh my God, it is almost 1. Let me stop talking and let me get through this. Okay. Engage in online discussions. Okay. This is where you're now going to start looking at Reddit. You're going to start looking at platforms like Quora. You can contribute to industry discussions, increase your brand awareness and sentiment. Focus on providing valuable answers and insights rather than promotional content. And then build relationships with community members to establish long-term credibility. So this is in the online discussion world. Okay. So this is my Quora account, and you can see based on how I have it set up, I'm now getting questions. Can small businesses monetize their data payment? How do I start an online selling business? How do I develop a successful social media strategy? What factors should be considered when deciding to start a small business? So I'm getting these questions because I've set my profile up. So it's hitting me these. So it's making it, it's setting me up to bat. It's going these based on the keywords that you chose to build out your profile and how your profile is set. Here are things we think you can answer. So now you go in and you answer them. Reddit. This is another one. I answered somebody came through looking for, I believe, a place looking for a better opportunity. Let me rephrase that. This person came in. They wanted to understand more about. My brain is fried. How did I understand it? Yeah. So I start off with, I understand your dilemma. This person was tired of paying a lot of money for consultants that weren't delivering. So I said, I understand your dilemma. We have a community. You pay $349 once, you never pay again, and you have support for life from the community. So we hope this, unfortunately, we answered this question a year later, so the person may have moved on. But we answered it anyway. Why? Because it still will count if it ever was relevant to a search. Okay? So I still answered the question. Okay, this is another tool we use called Idea8, and this is a sentiment-based tool, and I'm not going to go deep into it because we're running late, but at the end of the day, it pulls only from Reddit. So if you're not on Reddit, you would not be included in this tool. Okay, review management. So reviews, monitor your reviews, respond professionally to reviews, generate positive content, encourage satisfied customers to share their experience, okay? And then implement improvements. Use feedback to enhance products and demonstrate responsiveness. So basically respond to reviews and also ask for reviews, all right? PR. This is, I think, the last part of our session before we go into our VIP. AI is definitely leveraging, you know, the PR and the media side of things as well. This is where you're going to get a lot of your authority from, especially if you can be quoted in very high profile platforms, depending on your industry. So for my industry, Forbes, Inc., Entrepreneur. But that, if you're in plumbing, maybe it's Plumbing World and whatever other platform caters to the plumbing industry. So every industry has these niche and general media opportunities. Okay, so OpenAI, all these platforms are going to be leveraging these looking for your mention, your brand mention, the mention of key people in your organization, to build out their credibility list to determine if they're going to show you. So this is a platform that I recommend called Quoted. And as you can see, this is my account. And so I can see all opportunities, and it changes daily. This is the U.S. Sun. You got Medium, you got People Managing People. So it's mostly news outlets, television, radio, print, online print. You also have podcasts here. So I'm getting, every day I get at least 3 to 5 emails of what it thinks might be potential for me to submit to. Okay, so you've got opportunities, and now it's got this new thing called Media Matcher. So it actually matched me with, based on my profile, with reporters I should reach out to. Forbes, Vogue Business, Cyber News. I never would have thought about Vogue Business, but I am now. Okay, it has now they have a free plan. You get I think you start off with, on the free plan you get 7 opportunities to pitch. But look what they introduced. No pitch credit needed. So these are opportunities you can click on based on your profile, and now you don't even use the 2 credits. So still for free, you're getting a lot more opportunities to pitch your business. And this is and so you're talking very reputable organizations which will help you build out your persona. Okay? And then we have press releases. So I started adding all our press releases here, and you can add your press releases for free to the platform. You can pay to have it distributed out to other platforms, but you will get exposure within the Quoted platform with all their press releases. So we're probably 4 or 5 press releases in as of right now, even around this particular topic here. Okay. So we created the press release and AI search discovery document. So you have that one. And if you want help, we have a done for you press release service. You can definitely reach out to us, and we would definitely talk about doing press releases for you on your behalf. Okay. And finally, continuous optimization strategy. You have to continue to monitor your AI search results. There's just that's the new norm. You need to implement new trends. You need to analyze your performance data, and you need to adjust your strategy accordingly. And it's going to be a lot easier to do when you're using a tool to help you do this type of stuff, instead of doing this stuff, by jumping into each platforms and not really getting any granular data. Okay. KPIs you might want to measure, because this is important. KPIs can include your brand mention growth. Are you growing in brand mentions? That 65 just represents a potential number you could have. Okay. How often you're showing up in AI search. So there's your visibility. Is that going up? Is that going down? Is it staying stagnant? Interaction, your engagement multiplier. How often are people interacting with your content now that you're posting across multiple platforms? And then your authority score. Is it rising? And some of these things will move relatively quickly. Some won't move as quick. This is a long-term strategy. Okay. Final thing is, we have multiple frameworks inside of our community for all of our community members that can help support what we talked about today. We have the brand building for positioning, leadership, and strategic partnerships. Another way for you to build really strong partnerships with third parties, which would, again, end up producing content that could live on their platform, which validates your authority. Okay? That's 1. 2, crafting lucrative partnerships. Is that the same thing? Oh, no, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. That's That's for crafting lucrative partnerships. This one is about how you're going to make sure that you know everything about you that's being said on the internet or anywhere. You're going to be able to look at, we built this thing called the leadership timeline. So you're going to go in, you're going to search for all of this stuff, whether it's podcasts, press releases, media mentions, blogs you've written, and you're going to put it into a really great document we call the leadership timeline. That's this framework here. And then mastering speaking for your authority building. If you want to start speaking, this is a great one as well that will build authority for your brand, for you and your brand, and give you some of the things that we mentioned in today's call. Okay. Next steps, check out the AI toolkit. All right. That's number one. We have Corey has dropped the link in the chat if you want to check it out. We're going to jump over to the VIP session now for anybody who wants to ask any deeper questions here. And we're pretty much done. So we went a little bit over. Oh, that's not so bad. We went 6 minutes over. So I'm going to see if we have any final thoughts from any of our three guest people on the call here. And if not, I'm going to let you all go. You'll get this replay. And at the end of the day, you'll have access to this training till the 17th. And if you've got a VIP pass, you'll have longer access to this, and we'll share some more things that you'll have access to. So any final comments?
Hopefully in VIP, we'll be able to do a little deeper dive on those KPIs and where you're getting them from, as well as Corey had mentioned earlier, he had the sentiment question, and I think we should do a little deep dive into that as well.
Absolutely. Well, the first one I can answer. Those KPIs are made up. That slide was really about just giving you an idea of what KPIs you should be measuring.
Cool.
Okay. Anybody else? Nope.
I enjoyed the 6-part series, Jimmy. That's it. Just wanted to say that.
All righty then. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and close out today's session. Feel free to reach out to me directly, whether it's on social media or through, Moving Forward Small Business. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your insights. If you were able to attend any of the sessions, I'd love any feedback. And if you got a testimonial, I'd love to get that from you as well. With that being said, thank you all again for being a part of this. Thank you to all of our partners, SEMrush, our presenting partner as well. And I look forward to seeing you at another series real soon. All right. Take care, everyone.